now. More importantly, joining me now is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson of Louisiana. Mr. Speaker, welcome. Thank you for your time, sir. I know it's very hectic.
Hey, Larry, great to be with you. And I appreciate your endorsement and certainly humbled and honored to have yours and President Trump's and former Speaker Gingrich and all of our friends. All the leaders across the conservative movement are all saying the same thing, as you just said. We have to stay unified. Larry, we can fulfill all those campaign promises that the American people have given us a mandate to do if we stay unified. And that's the key here. And I think it all begins tomorrow, and I'm confident we can do that.
Speaker, let me just begin quickly. I know a lot's been said and reported and so forth and so on, but here we are in the later afternoon. Your thoughts on the terror in New Orleans. You, of course, are from Louisiana, up in Shreveport and so forth. People are criticizing the FBI. The intel agencies didn't know this was coming. They seem to have missed it. You probably know a ton more than I'll ever know about this. Is there anything you've got to add to the conversation so far? What are you thinking here, sir?
I wish I had more to add. I participated in the classified level briefing earlier this afternoon by the intelligence agencies and the FBI. Of course, I've talked to my governor down there, Jeff Landry, who's a very close friend of mine, our Attorney General, Liz Murrill. They're doing a great job on the ground. The state officials are. The local officials are doing all that they can, but we need our federal partners to do their job. And there is some frustration, as was articulated at the top of the program, that I think is very well placed. You know, for 4 years now, the Biden administration has taken its eye off the ball. I mean, they did not prioritize, in our view, the right things. And the FBI was off doing all these various and sundry things, putting their emphasis in their investigations and their eye on, you know, conservative Catholics and concerned parents at school board meetings and all these other things. They tried to convince us that the greatest threat to the homeland was racially motivated extremism, when we all looked at the wide open border and thought logically that that might lead to terrorist attacks in the future. You know, we need a dramatic change, and this emphasizes once again why this election was so important to the country. And we cannot get President Trump here soon enough. 18 days away from his inauguration and his cabinet coming in. And we need all of these people that he's chosen, who are law and order types, who will get control of these agencies, including the FBI and the DOJ, to get to work immediately. It can't happen soon enough.
You know, when these tragedies happen, it always occurs to me, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Speaker, 2 cops were hit, they were wounded, but they're okay. Is that true?
That's the latest information. That's right. I think there's now 15 confirmed dead, 14 or 15, and it's just a tragedy. A lot of young people, you know, innocent people out just enjoying the new year. And this vicious attack was pure evil. And, you know, the problem that we have right now, the thing that has frustrated us, is that this seems to be very reactionary, when we have known for many months that an attack like this was possible and perhaps imminent. I mean, FBI Director Christopher Wray testified to Congress here many months ago, back in the spring, that all the red lights were flashing and that this was a serious situation. So we knew that large-scale events, when people are on big, you know, pedestrian areas in the street, like the French Quarter in New Orleans, my home state, that they would be vulnerable for something like this. And the idea that somehow we miss this guy being radicalized is a real concern.
Well, our hearts and condolences go out to everybody. I always think of the cops first, but to all the families. I hope that those who are wounded can get through. Let's talk about tomorrow's vote on the speakership. How do you look, sir?
I think it's going to be okay, Larry. We'll have maybe one no vote, I think. I think we get it done on the first round. Certainly hopeful for that, because, as we noted, we've got to stick together. We'll be operating with the smallest margin in U.S. history for much of the first 100 days of the Congress, and perhaps longer into the year. So it necessitates that every single Republican, as diverse as our caucus is, can put aside their personal preferences every day and work together for the team. And I think everybody understands clearly the mandate that we have, the importance of the moment, and I think they're going to come and get along. Look, I'm a proven fighter. I'm a MAGA conservative, but I'm also someone who can get everyone in that broad array that we have in the House GOP to work together. And that's what's necessary in the days ahead, and that's how we're going to deliver on the America First agenda for the people. So we can't wait to get started.
Is President Trump making calls for you, Speaker?
I was with him yesterday at Mar-a-Lago. He and I and J.D. Vance and the Vice President-elect, his senior team, We talked about the legislative strategy and all of that, and he said, "Who do I need to call?" I don't think he's calling this afternoon because I haven't identified anybody that he needs to lean on. My conversations with my colleagues have gone great, and a lot of members have come in very thoughtfully, in good faith, with process improvements and things they'd like to see differently. The good news is, Larry, we're shifting into a brand new paradigm. We are going to have unified government. We'll have control of the White House, the Senate, and the House. 60% of the House Republicans have never experienced that before. So it's a totally different environment, totally different existence when we're actually in a lawmaking exercise every day. So we should have a lot more fun. We get to run our agenda instead of playing defense every day, and we're looking forward to that.
So as I said earlier, there's no time for dawdling. You've got a certification process January 6th, which is Monday. So tomorrow's January 3rd, Friday.
Yeah.
So some's got to give. Correct me if I'm wrong, but procedurally, if we don't have a speaker, we don't have a House, we don't have a certification, then we don't conceivably go to January 20th and have a President Trump.
Yeah, we would have ourselves a constitutional crisis, I would argue. You have to have a speaker to begin and commence the Congress itself. And this happens every 2 years. We've been doing this for hundreds of years now. I think we'll do it again tomorrow. We'll get the 119th Congress going, historic as it will be. And I've said, and I said on the campaign trail all year, I genuinely believe, Larry, we could be the most consequential Congress of the modern era, because I believe President Trump will be the most consequential president, because very frankly, as you and I have discussed many times, we actually have to fix everything. And that has to begin on day one. So we don't have any time to waste. And I think that everybody recognizes that here.
Well, speaking of fixing everything, and speaking of blue-collar booms and safety at the border and maybe stopping these terrorists and so forth, how about it? Some people are close to Mr. Trump are reporting that he is talking about one big, beautiful reconciliation bill. One big, beautiful bill, Speaker. What do you make about one big, beautiful bill? Does your reimagining one big, beautiful bill, and how might that work in the Senate side at the same time?
Well, look, I think the Senate will get it done, and I think, all this begins in the House. I believe that we'll be able to build a coalition to do that. One big, beautiful bill will have a lot of components if that's ultimately the play call. There's a lot of merit to it because we've got to get tax done and energy policy and the border and everything you've said all in one big shot. But the clock will be ticking. We'll have a lot of pressure on us on time because the American people are going to want to see results. Some of those negotiations by design take a long time because you got to get it right. And but I tell you what, everybody here is ready to roll their sleeves up and get the job done. We're going to put in processes and procedures to make that collaboration happen on a very quick timetable, and we'll be required to do that. But I think we're going to be able to get this ball over the goal line for the people, and it's going to be a huge thing for the country. Well,
I don't want to obsess about it, but you'll permit me to obsess slightly about it, a moderate obsessing about it. But it's going to be awful hard to get two bites out of the apple. You're going to have a tight majority in the House, a very tight majority in the House. The discussion on the continuing resolution, to a large extent, shows that. People who think that you can get a quick reconciliation bill, there's going to have to be offsets to any border spending anyway. Plus, there's going to be defense increases. I mean, I just think, Mr. Speaker, I think one big, beautiful bill is the way to go. And I do think, Mr. Trump got a mandate for change, an enormous mandate for change from his working class coalition, and the prospects of assuring or reassuring people, fatten your wallets, you'll get the tax cuts Mr. Trump promised, the blue-collar boom can begin right away, along with closing the border and so forth. I just think you owe it to your new majority to do one big, beautiful bill.
Yes, you have made your case well, Professor, and they're all listening. And we cite Kudlow here on the Hill when we're in the discussion room. Well, Larry Kudlow says it. No, and there are others as well. There's a lot of smart people who are advising on this and sharing their opinions, and it's very valuable because This is going to be a big, complicated thing, but it's something that we are going to do. And look, always, you know me personally, I appreciate your insight on that and others. I was talking to our incoming Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, about this, and many others, our friends, you know, Stephen Moore and Art Laffer and the rest. And they make a very compelling case about the one bill strategy. And I think a lot of people are listening, Larry. We want to ensure success. This is about measuring the probabilities of passage. And we've got to take the best shot that we can to get it all done. And we have no margin for error. So it's going to be a delicate dance here, but we're going to get that delivered for the people. So I appreciate all your influence on it.
Well, I don't know if I have any influence, but I do have a point of view, and many share that. You just mentioned a bunch of people that share that point of view. I think I know where your heart lies, but I think you know, what I mentioned about the president in his own language, one big beautiful bill, he's been pretty steady on that. I've had reports from U.S. senators and senior staff and others, yourself included, that this first surfaced at the Army-Navy game, which was whatever it was, a month ago or so. You know, I don't think he's moved on that, and I think you have to deliver. I mean, I think it's promises made, promises kept. You don't want to make the mistakes of 2017 when quixotically Republicans went after, you know, Obamacare and this and that, and almost didn't get the tax cut through in late 2017. This time it's Russian roulette with a $4 or $5 trillion tax hike. So again, I don't want to obsess about it, at least not overly obsess about it in Kudlow terms. I think that's just, you've heard me out on that. You've been very kind. You've also been very accessible to the media, and we appreciate that. And I know you're going to be tough on these other matters, the border and terrorism in general. I mean, one thing's for sure, we'll leave it at this, Mr. Speaker. The sooner we can get Trump in there, this is my humble opinion, but the sooner we can get Trump in there, the sooner we can get his agenda moving, as soon as we can hit the ground running, then perhaps, hopefully, with God's grace, the less we'll have to worry about jihadists and ISIS and al-Qaeda in the United States, as well as a combination of an economic slump and high inflation. You know, I mean, the Lord will play a role in these things, but I would say the sooner the better. Leave it at that. How about that?
Absolutely right. That's a great way to conclude it. We got to make America great again, and we will.
All right, Speaker Mike Johnson, thank you for your time. We know you're very busy. Good luck on the vote tomorrow, sir.